Okay, so we'll start with arrays today, and we'll try to cover classes and objects as well. So basically, as of now, you have seen the uh, data type and the primitive data types. You are aware about the primitive data types like int, float, double, boolean, char. So there were like 8 primitive data types. So byte, int, sort, long, uh, float, double, char, and boolean, right? So we'll go ahead and see the concept of arrays now. So what basically an array is? So sometimes you might feel the need to like store a number of integer variables or a number of string variables or a number of float variables in a single data uh, in some single variable. So what I mean by that, let me try to create a new package. So I created one main method, and as of now you have seen like you can create some variable and you can like assign those some value. Similarly, you can create some float variable. You have seen these things, right? So you are already aware of this. Now, what happens if you want like 10 numbers, 10 integer values in a single variable? So what you basically do is you need an array for that. So that an array is basically contiguous memory blocks which contains your numbers. So if I show you an example, something like this. So let me try to create an integer array. So the syntax is basically, let me syntax of array. Syntax of array is basically data type space followed by square brackets and then reference variable name or reference variable, you can say this. And then we need to use a new operator. So basically new is a Java keyword. We'll use it uh, to further create objects as well in Java. For now, we are creating an array. And again, we need to specify the same data type which we had used for. So suppose I want to like create an integer array. So it would be the same data type here and here. And then I would specify the size of array. So it will be more clear when I demonstrate this with an example. Suppose I have something like array equal to new and so this is basically if I want to like store 10 numbers in this array, we'll give specify the sizes 10. Now, how do you basically assign value to all these indexes? So the size of this array is basically 10. And what you can basically do is like the indexes of an array will start from 0, not from 1. So it will be like array of 0, array of 1, array of 2 until array of 9. So you can assign values like this. Array of 0 is equal to 10. Array of 2 is equal to 15. And what do you think will be assigned? Suppose I have not assigned values to other indexes. Like I have not assigned value to array of index 1 and then array of index 9. So what you think will be the value of those? Suppose I print this array of 0. What do you think what would be the output? What would basically array of 0 give? Everyone there?
Or an assign, right?
So
Or as
what will this print? Array of 0. Line number 15, what will this print?
I would
array
say
zero or
10.
a
No,
10.
it's very clear, right? I have created an array of size 10. Is it fine? I've created an array of size 10 which holds 10 integer numbers. And at index 0, I've assigned a value of 10. At index 2,
yeah.
I've assigned a value of 15. So if I go ahead and print the value at array index 0, what is it supposed to print?
print is 10.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's what I was asking. So it will print 10. But if I go ahead and try to print array of 10, what will it print? Any idea?
Or there is just zero, start at zero, mean index
Yes.
on 1. Yeah.
No, it's not index of 1. It is sorry. Let me give you index of array of 9. What will this print? Or index of 5,
Oh, I thought,
anything.
oh, is it index 5? You have to 10 is, I mean, 0 is 10. Or we,
Yeah. See, there are like 10 indexes now, right? So we basically created something like this. Suppose at index 0, we are basically storing 10, right? Then
yes.
then there is something like at index 1, what will be stored? At index 1, I have not initialized any, I have not stored anything as of now, right? So basically this will, if I don't store anything at the index, it will store the default value, what integer has. So integer has default value of 0, right? We had seen these things when we were like covering data types. So integer has a default value of 0. So it will store 0 at this position. And then again at index 2, I have stored 15. And then again 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So how much is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Got it? So 10 is at index 0. 0. Then at index 1, I have not stored anything. So this is supposed to be 0. At index 2, I have stored 15. So this will be 15. And then again at index 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, everything will be 0. So if I go ahead and print this array of 5, it is supposed to be 0. Let me try. See, you can see those values, right? The first print statement provided me 10. The second print statement provided me 0. You getting it? Similarly, I can create a double array.
This is for
Yeah, please.
system out. Yeah, when we print that is based on the index 50, but
Yeah.
number
i-
5, the value of number 5 int value is equal to 15 and float new value 2.0f.
yeah.
So
So, 1 second. So, basically, the syntax is array of, we provide some index. This is the index, and then we provide some value. So, this is kind of what I'm doing. So, let me, you're talking about when we create something else, some other array. Hello?
before that, the syntax of array. So data type that is integer, we can say, and also reference variable. Arrays ref as a variable. Yes, are we use this?
Sorry, I did not get your question.
Number 9.
Okay.
Syntax of array. Syntax of array. So data type.
So, do you want to
Array.
print array of index 9?
No.
Then
I'm talking about from the syntax of array.
syntax of array. Yeah.
Yes, array syntax of array. Number 9. This number 9 data type.
Okay, so you can provide any size here. Is it what you're speaking? Means you want to specify the size as 9 here?
No, you're writing number 9. You're writing number 9, right? On the top.
Can you specify at line number, which line number you're speaking?
9,
Data type array reference variable is equal to new data type size of array.
Yes. So what is the issue in that?
So based on that, what I'm saying, reference variable array, yes?
Yes. Yeah, array
New,
is a
new
reference
data
variable.
type. Yeah, where is new data type?
No. New is a Java keyword. No. New is a Java keyword. This is okay. I think you got confused. It's not new data type. New is basically a Java keyword. It is a Java keyword. It has got special meaning in Java. It's not new data type. Means data type will be, this data type would be same as what you declare here. So basically this data type and this data type will be same. New is basically a Java keyword. Got it? This new keyword is very special in Java. This keyword will be basically used for creating an object in Java. It will be used for creating arrays as well in Java. Got it? It's not like new data type. Means new is a Java keyword used for creating arrays, comma objects. Yeah, someone wrote in the chat as well. New is a Java keyword which creates an object. Got it? Is it clear now, Guesser? I think you had some confusion, right? If not, I'll
Yeah,
explain more.
Okay, we can go there. No.
No. Did you understand? Because this is very important.
Yes, I understand for new secured of the Java and
Yeah.
creating
Yes.
the object.
New is a Java keyword used for creating arrays, objects. So it's for that. So
But
similarly,
my question, now not the keyword of the new. My question, from the syntax and also the example, I try to related for that, but I confuse number 5 and number 4. You have to give an example, int and float, and also based on the syntax, number 13 and 14. So how to, you know,
Do
read
you
for the first example and the second 13 and 14 and 5 and 6.
so do you want to say that you want to store at something at index 5 and 6?
I have a question to Pritam. Might be the same to him. That my confusion here is now line number 5 and 6. We have given that number 5 line number 5 and number 6. We got that one. And again, what is the relation between
No, there's
those two?
no. See,
Yes, yeah.
line number 5 and 6 don't have any relation, right? I can just go ahead and delete this. So I just showing that
Okay.
these things you had like
Okay.
already studied, right? That these are primitive data types. When you want a single variable to hold some value, you can create this. You are already doing these things, right? In earlier exercise, it has got no relation to the below thing. I'll just delete this so that you are not confused. Is it better
Okay.
now?
Okay. Now it's good.
That is a question. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
There's nothing relation between that. So you can focus on this below this. Is this clear or not? Whatever I've taught about arrays.
It's clear. It's clear to me, Nader sir.
Okay, sure, fine. So similarly, you can go ahead and create like other uh, arrays as well. Double array. Say you want to specify a size of 5 here. So basically you can there's one way where you can like specify double array 0 is equal to say 2.4 double array 1 equal to 3.0. So similarly, I go ahead and print double array index of 1. What is it supposed to print? It should print 3.0, right? Any confusion you have? It will print 3.0. Now let me go ahead and try to print double array of index 4. So see, when I create an array of size 5, it will go from index 0 to 4 because there are 5 elements and it is the index is 0 based. So it will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Got it? So let me try to print out this value of double array 4. What will this hold? Any guesses? What will this hold? Will it hold 0 or will it hold 0.0? 0 or 0.0? Let me try to run this. Did you see? This has a value of 0.0. Why? Because the default value of double is decimal, right? It's like if you don't assign anything to a double variable, it will be like 0.0. Got it? So similarly, if I go ahead and try to now print double array of 5, what do you think it will print?
That's 0.
Why will who said that? Why
Yeah,
will that,
Freddy.
Freddy? Why Freddy? Why will this print 0?
Oh, we don't assign that one. So it's a 0 or 0.0.
Okay. Let me try to run this.
Mhm.
You got some error, right? Here in runtime, you got some error, right?
Okay.
Did you see array exception in thread main, array index bound out of bounds exception? Why? Because I'm repeating this. This index is zero based. Since we created an array of size 5, so the indexes can be only referred from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we have already covered 5 indexes until then, right? So index 5 will, you cannot try to access something which that will be like out of size. Suppose you have like 4 chairs, right? You have like 4 chairs, and I have placed like 4 of you in those chairs. 4 of you are like sitting on the chair, and I'm trying to like print something like what is in chair 5. There's nothing in chair 5, right? So that is the thing. Means basically when you are declaring something of array of size 5, you can only access till index -1. So basically, if you want to access something at index 0, you place at index, you provide like array, then index 0, and then you can print that. So basically, it is like, it will be, so the indexes would vary from index varies from 0 to array length -1. You're getting this? So this will throw you a runtime error. We'll see what runtime error is, but this will throw you something, some error. For now, you can consider this. This is a runtime error. So you're basically trying to access something out of size. Means we have you you have created an array of just size, and you are trying to access the 6th position. Means index 5 position. Got it? Any confusion here? At line number 27, anyone has any confusion?
It's clear.
It's clear, right? Because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Already 5 indexes are done. So, and you have created an array of just size 5. So, if you try to access something beyond that, you will get an exception, and that will be like array. See, the error also you can see here, right? This error is something meaningful. This is called exception. In Java, you don't say this as error, you will say this as exception. When you go in further classes, right, where we will study exception handling, you get to know like more about it. But if you see this error, exception in thread main, array index out of bounds exception. Array index out of bounds means we are trying to access an array beyond the length of the array. So the length of the array was just 5, and you are trying to like access some element, access something which is beyond the length. So that will throw you an error. Also one thing, access, let's print out the size of array. Let's print out size of array. So size of double array. So there is something called double array dot length. So if you write something like this, you can get the size of this double array. So what is it supposed to print? It is supposed to print a value of 5. Yeah, because we have specified the size of double array. So this is supposed to print you 5. Let me try to run this. See, okay, 1 second. We'll just comment out this because this was throwing, when this line threw you some error, it did not print this one. So I've commented out that one. See, size of double array is 5 because we have already specified the size of the array here, right? Now let me go ahead and try to see another. So it is, you can print the size of an array by this syntax, reference variable dot length. So this length will basically give you the size of the array, reference variable dot length. Let me try to go ahead and show you another way of like accessing means storing variables. Another way of creating array, I would say, you can also create something like float array. Now I'm not specifying, I'm not creating it like with the help of the new keyword. I just want to go ahead and like store some value. So I would just go ahead and provide 1.0 f, 2.0 f, 3.0 f, 4.0 f, 5.0 f. You can also do something like this. Means here you have not used the new keyword. Here you have not used the, you have not specified anything like new data type and the size of the array. You have simply created a float. This is similar. Like this syntax is basically similar. You have used data type, this square brackets, and then the reference variable is equal to, and you have simply like assigned some values to this array. So you can basically print like this as well. And what you can basically do, you can go ahead and now print the size of this float array. So this will also give you 5. Float array dot length. See, size, okay, sorry. Size of float array. Size of float array is also 5 because we have like assigned 5 values in this float array. 1.0f, 2.0f, 3.0f, 4.0f, 5.0f. Now, if I want to like print all the elements, I don't want to like print one element at a time. Means I don't want to like hard code this in the print statement, like system.out.println double array 1 or 2. I want to like just use a simple print statement so that I can print all the contents of the array. Print the entire array. So can you suggest me what basically I can do here? I just want to use a simple print statement and try to like print everything. What basically I can do here? You know that you can use this particular syntax to get the size of the array, right? Can we use a for loop to run to print the size to print all the elements, print the entire array? Let me try to like create a for loop. You're already aware with this for loop, right? We have seen this. We have seen a lot of examples for loop. So let
Yes,
me,
yes.
yeah. So anti I equal to 0. So this is like we are trying to start with accessing the 0th index of the array. And how long do we need to go? We need to basically go,
5.
yeah. So float array dot length. So float array dot length, what will this give me? This will give me a value of 5. Everyone agreeing?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, float array dot length will give me a value of 5. And when I is less than 5, so I less than 5 basically means it will go until index 4 only, because it is not equal to, it is less than 5. So less than 5 means I equal to 0, I equal to 1, I equal to 2, I equal to 3, and I equal to 4. Getting it?
Not included 5. Okay.
Yeah, not included 5. We have, because we have not provided an equal to. We have like provided less than 5. So it would be
Oh.
until 4. So let me try to go ahead and print the contents. Value at index I is equal to float array. What I'm basically doing, instead of like hard coding the index as we have seen here, like we were hard coding the indexes here, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to use this particular loop variable. So this loop variable when I use, so first time when the loop runs, I'm using an index 0. So what will this print? This will print value at index 0 is equal to 1.0f. Then what happens? Now I increments to 2. Sorry, I increments to 1. And then we are using, again, we are checking the condition. So the condition will be true. And again, we'll go ahead and print value at index 1. And we will try to use 1 now. This I will be basically 1. So it will print 2.0f. Let me try to print this example. See, you can see these things, right? Value at index 0 is equal to 1.0. Value at index 1 is 2.0. Value at index 2 is 3.0. So we are basically printing this array. We are basically printing this array here, and with the help of a single print statement. Is it clear for everyone? Float array dot length basically gave me the size of the array. So this size of the array was like float array dot length gave me 5, and we are running a loop less than 5. So basically 5 will not be included. So the loop will run from I equal to 0 to I equal to 4. And then we'll go ahead and print value at index. Means each time we are trying to like print the value of the index. And the index will basically vary from 0 to 4. So we are able to like get our output. Any confusion here? This was like very straightforward. You can simply create an array of like Boolean character or double string as well. We'll see more about strings in later classes, but this is like straightforward. There is nothing so much here. See, we have seen two ways of like creating an array as and assigning values. The first is like we basically create something like this, means we declare an array and basically we specify the size of the array, create an array using the new keyword like data type, square brackets, reference variable is equal to new keyword and then data type and then again size. And then you basically assign values to all the indexes or whichever index you basically want to assign the values. And what happens when you create something like this? You don't need to use the new keyword and you don't need to again basically provide the size of the array. You can simply uh, declare something like this and start assigning the values like this. Got it? Any doubts here? Okay. We'll go ahead and see something like this. So see, in this slide, basically we are seeing the same thing. Integer. Okay, 1 second. So this, you have seen this syntax, right? Integer, square brackets, integer array is equal to new and 5. So 5 is basically the size of the array. So see, when we say something like new integer 5, it is basically a kind of object. And this int array is what? Int array is basically a reference. This is basically a reference to your object. Means we'll study more about how these objects and references, where are they stored. Means that's something in the memory management. Means when you create something like this, right? When you create something like int array equal to new int, basically when you create an array, it requires some memory. It requires some memory, right? So that memory is managed. How the memory is managed? Basically, I'll teach you something like these objects will be stored on heap. These references variables will be stored, or the local variables will be stored on stack. We'll go ahead and see these things. But this we have already seen. Int array is basically your reference here. Int array is basically your reference. A new int 5, this is basically the object that we created. And this reference is pointing to this. Let's go ahead and see another slide. See, Java objects can never be named. Handle to them is a reference variable. So how we basically handle the object? So when we create something like new int 5, we use this reference. So int array is basically the reference. We'll use this reference to basically access the arrays. So handling the arrays will be through the reference variable, all the references that we created. So see, similarly, string s equal to something like this. So here, what is s? S is basically the reference. S is basically the reference to this value. Got it? So what is basically an array? An array is an ordered collection of elements. What is an ordered collection? Ordered collection means it uses basically indexes, and indexes basically vary in increasing order. So elements of an array can be of primitive type or references to objects. So we have seen how we basically create arrays of primitive types now. So anti means integer, float, double, char, boolean. You can like create these arrays, right? The arrays are also objects in Java. So this we have already seen. So when we use this new int, basically this creates an that creates an object. So the arrays are also objects in Java. The above declaration of an array is actually creating an unnamed array object with a size of 5 integer elements. The handle to refer to this object is the reference variable int array. We have already seen these things in the demo. So I'm moving forward. So see, now default values in array initialization. So we had seen this while we were basically going through the data types, right? So what is the default value of each data type? It is Boolean. Oh, 1 second. For Boolean, this is false. For char, this is Unicode 0000. For byte, short, int, long, this is 0. For float, this is 0.0f. Double, this is 0. Object reference equal to null. So if you don't assign any values, this we had already seen, right? If you don't assign any value, suppose we did not assign anything to double array index 2, so that will hold the default value. So whatever default value double has, so default value which double has is 0.0. So that will be the value which will be held by the array index. Got it? So Java assigns a default value to all elements of a newly created array if no initial value is specified. Got it? Java does not assign any default value to local variables in a method, constructor, or static initializers. We'll see this point later when we study more about methods or constructors. So I'll teach you how we basically create methods in Java, how we basically create constructors or static initializers. So we'll go ahead and see this. So see, we had seen the first array declaration. When you see this array declaration here, right? We had seen the first syntax, right? We had seen the first syntax where we had like declared an integer array of size 5 and we had allocated some values. We had assigned some values to each index. Now, what is this second? You are seeing this two square brackets here, right? Are you able to see these two square brackets?
Yes.
Yeah. So what basically these two square brackets mean? So this means that this is basically an array of arrays. An array of arrays means suppose you have one array of 4, you have another array of 4, then again another array of 4, and another array of 4. So basically your single array contains 4 different arrays and all the arrays are of size 4. So I'll try to demonstrate this with an example. So 2D array. So what basically 2D array is? So 1D array you have seen, like 1D array is basically something we are like passing value 1, comma, value 2, comma, value 3, and dot 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 value n. Right? Everyone with me?
Mhm.
So this is what we have already seen. Now, what 2D array is basically? 2D array is like something like this. Means you see one array here, you see another array here, then you see another array here, and then again you see another array here. And then you see a pair of curly brackets here, right? The opening curly brackets and the closing curly bracket, right? So this is basically an array of arrays. This is the opening bracket, this is the closing bracket. So this is an array and this contains many arrays, right? So this basically contains many arrays. So it is basically your 2D array, or you can say an array of arrays. So I'll show you how we basically go ahead and create that as well. So see, length of an array. This we had already seen how we compute the length of an array. That is by dot length, means array reference dot length. Whatever reference variable you have created for array, if you do a dot length for that, you will get the length of the array. So here basically it is reference. This reference is pointing to the array object. And see, there are like when we create an array of size 5, there are basically 5 boxes in this array object, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the first one is at index 0, the second one is at index 1, and then at index 2, then at index 3, then at index 4. We have already seen this in the demo. So let's move forward. This also we have already seen array initialization, anti days in month. So here we are basically using some variable to store the days in month. So say January has like 31 days, Feb has 28 days, and then March has 31 days. So we are basically trying to store the days in a month in an array. So this we have already seen, array initialization method like this. So see how it is how the pictorial representation shows. This is a 1D array and the reference. What is the reference here? Days in months is basically the reference here. And we have created an array object and how we are storing in continuous blocks, how we are storing these values in blocks. So it's like 31 is at index 0, 28 is at index 1, 31 again at index 2, and so on. So this is how the arrays are. Array contains the values. An array object is basically storing the values at continuous memory locations. Let's move forward. So see, this is the memory map. So we have seen like how we basically create a float array, how we basically create a double array, integer array. So similarly, you can create a string array as well. So when I say string array, you the syntax will again be a string. So string is basically used to store your string values. String values means a sequence of characters. When I say string, I basically mean you can say something like a word, means something of like a sequence of characters. More than one character is a string. When I say more than one character, it is basically a string. So your string can also contain some decimal values as well along with this, means it can be like alphanumeric, numeric, something like that. So east, west, north, south, these are like separate words, and we are creating a string array of 4. So if you like print the length of this Jones dot length, so it will basically print a value of 4. So just see this 1D array. We have an array object, and in these 4 blocks, we are basically storing north, east, south, and west. And what is the reference here? The reference is basically zones. So this is basically the reference. So this is similar to what we have already seen for float and double. So here just string is basically storing your string values. So whatever type of data type you provide, that type of value you have to store in the array. Otherwise, you will get a compile time error. See, now there is something arrays of array. And what I mean by arrays of array, let me try to show this with an example. So here you can see that there's an array created, and then there was, okay, let me first show you how we basically created 2D array. I did not show you the demo, right? I have shown you in the slide, but not here. So we'll create an 2D array. Okay, one second. Sorry. Did you see some error here at line number? This is throwing me some error. Can you tell me why this is throwing some error? See, when I write this syntax at line number 44, right? Was this very clear carefully? This is important. When I write something like anti square brackets, and then the reference variable, new integer, then 4, and then 3. So what this basically means? So new integer, we are basically specifying the size here, right? By using 4 and 3. So what this 4 and 3 means? So 4 basically means that there are 4 individual arrays. There are 4 individual arrays. And what this 3 means is each array can contain only 3 values. Each array can have a size of maximum 3. So it cannot hold like more than 3 values. So when I basically do matrix of 0 comma 0 0, so 0 0 is basically we are trying to access this array, right? We are trying to access this array, the first array. 0 is, when we say an array, it is like 0 index based, right? So we are trying to access this index. And when I say 0 0, we are basically referring to this value. This value. When I say 0 1, we are basically referring to this value. When I say 0 2, we are basically referring to this value. But since we had limited each array to contain only 3 elements, since we had restricted an array to contain only 3 elements, I can go ahead and like store this 0 3. But when I will print this, I'll get something like this: array index out of bounds exception. Why? Because the each individual array can basically contain only 3 elements. But I was trying to like store at index, store an index at the means the 4th element I was trying to store in a array, in an array of size 3. So that's why we got an error. Are you getting this? So if I go ahead and print something like 0 comma 0, and then 0 comma 1, sorry, 0 1 and 0 2. Let me try to print this. So this will basically print you the values. See. Okay, let me comment this out. Okay, I think we were throwing some exception from above as well. Okay. See, we are getting the values, right? You can see this output 0, 1, 2. What we printed here. We had printed whatever we had stored here. at index 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2. So we had printed the same. Is it clear to everyone?
Not to me, Farid, I'm sorry.
Okay, who is this?
Gasha.
Yeah, guess so. Please let me know what your confusion is.
To the you know, so we have a matrix and 0 for 0 index, it is printed to 0. For the index 0 and it is the value 1, the second array.
So let me explain once more. Let me explain once more. You are clear with 1D array?
Yes.
You are clear with 1D array. So basically, we are placing. So when I write something like new int 4, 3. So suppose say this 1D array, I'd like created, suppose say I've created a 1D array of 1, 2, 3. This is 1D array. You are agreeing with this?
Yes. Yeah.
So you are agreeing with this. You are agreeing with this. Then you have another 1D array of 4, 5, 6. Agreed?
Mhm.
You have another 1D array of 7, 8, 9. Agreed? These are like
Yes. Yeah.
individual arrays. And then you have another 1D array of this. So this is one 1D array. This is another 1D array. This is another 1D array. And this is another 1D array. Agreed?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So now what we basically do when we create a 2D array, so this is an array syntax. What we are basically doing, we are basically going ahead. So when I go ahead in this 2D array, this is at index 0. This is at index 0. So when I say 0, 0, when I say 0, 0, it basically refers to, so this is our first array in a, this is our first array in a 2D array, right? So I'll tell you what basically how I stored. So this is how I have stored this.
One index, okay.
So this is how I have stored this.
Index, okay.
So now you can see how from this 1D array we built these 2D arrays, right?
Mhm.
So now this is our 2D array. This is our 2D array. Got it? Is this clear or not? This is our 2D array.
Yes, I'm clear. So all values holding by open curly braces, yes, not
Yeah,
close.
yeah. So there is another way how we can basically store the values. So I was basically like showing you for how each index we can like store the value. But let's go ahead and try to like store all the values all at once. So let me create a 2D array, new 2-dimensional array. And what I'm basically doing, I'm using the same syntax here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Got it? So let me go ahead and ask you some questions. You have to tell me the output what this will print. When I say new 2-dimensional array, I want to basically print, okay. 1 and 2. Can you Anyone here like tell me the output of this one?
Okay.
See,
Yes, 0, 1, 2.
no. What will this print? This particular statement, what will this print? See, when I say new two-dimensional array of index 1, so this entire array is at index 0, agreed? This entire index is at index 1, this
1, yeah.
array is at index 2, and this array is at index 3. Now each array as well has some indexes, right? Each array as well has some indexes. So just think of this one, new two-dimensional array 1. So when we say this new two-dimensional array of 1, we basically are referring to the array at index 1. So we are basically, when we first see this, when we first go for new two-dimensional array at index 1, we basically first go ahead and select this one. And now we need to access the element at index 2 from this array. So what is at index 2? 4 is at index 0, 5 is at index 1, 6 is at index 2. Yeah.
Now is I got it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Now is I'm
So
clear.
this will basically print you 6.
Yes,
See,
yes.
this has printed 6. Are you clear now?
Yeah, I'm clear. Thank you.
Yeah. So this way we basically store. I need one more output from you all. What do you basically think this will print?
Okay. 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. 10. Oh, sorry. 11.
Yeah, this will print 11.
11.
See, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So this we are referring to this array, and then we are referring to index 1. So this is at index 0, this is at index 1. So when you
1,
go
yeah.
ahead and print this, you'll get 11, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, one more thing. What will this print?
This error.
Yeah, this will print you an error. Why? Because we are trying to access an array at index 4, but we can only access 0, 1, 2, and then 3. So this line will basically throw me an exception,
Exception.
and that exception will be array index out of bounds exception. We'll go means don't worry about the meaning of this array index out of bounds exception. We'll study in detail when we study the topic exception handling. But for now, when I go ahead and run this, we'll get an error. See, we got this error, right? Array index out of bounds exception. I will just comment out this one. So this line will basically throw you an exception. Okay. Let's go to the slides. Okay. There's another way of like declaring an array. See, now we had seen these 2D arrays where all the arrays had equal number of elements, right? So when we declared something like this 4, 3, so each element, each array had equal number of elements, that is 3. Got it? Now there are ways where we can create arrays which can have like different number of elements. So say this first array the array at index 0, suppose say has just one element. This array has two elements. This array has three elements. Means we can have variable number of elements. The number of elements in each individual array can vary. So this is what we basically have created here. Let me go ahead and create the same for you. Let's say Pascal triangle, we basically go ahead and create the same. So see, what this is basically doing is I'm creating one array, and then in array of 1 I'm creating this 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then 1, 2. You can also create something like this. So now if I go ahead and try to like print, when I print something like this, what will this print?
Error, I think so, for my answer.
Anyone else has a different opinion? Let me try to run this. So this will get create an error. Why? Because at index 0 we have this array, and this has got only one element, and this element is at index 0. Got it? So this will be again the same reason, array index out of bounds exception. And let's go ahead and print something different. One comma one. What will this print?
Uh, 5.
Yes, this will print you 5. Got it? Why? Because the first array, the array at index 1 is this one, and we are trying to access the element at index 1. So element at index 1 is 5. Got it? So see, this is how you can like declare this as well. So when you go for this particular syntax, right? Anti-array D, new array 2D. So basically, when we write 5, by 5, what we basically mean is this has 5 individual arrays. This has 5 individual arrays. And you see that the second column, they have like kept it blank. This is blank right here. You're able to see this slide? See, we are like declaring this, right? Anti square brackets array 2D equal to new array 2D, and then the size of this is 5, and the next square bracket is actually empty. So when the square bracket is basically empty, it means that you can have variable number of elements in this particular array. Means you are not restricting this array to have the same number of elements. Like here in this 2D array, we basically restricted that an array can have each individual an array can have a maximum of 3 elements only. But if I go ahead and remove this, so we basically can assign any number of elements in that array. Got it? Okay.
Are you said you mean we can assign any element of numbers? So that which means
Yes, yes. So what this means is basically, can someone please mute themselves? Yeah. So what this basically means is we are creating an array of 5. We are creating an array of 5, but we are not restricting the size of each individual array. We are not restricting how much elements each individual array can contain. So our first array can contain like 5 elements. You can have like second array which can contain just 2 elements. Third array may contain just 1 element. So that is it. So you can do this by this syntax. Got it? Is it clear?
So can you come back to IntelliJ?
Yes.
So
So it
from this, yeah,
okay.
when you remove three example 52
Okay. Let me go ahead
the
and remove the
output is the same.
output will still be same. Okay, where is this error coming from? Line number 54. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Error index. NT4. One second. Okay, this is the same thing, right? New entity dash array, new array 2D. Okay, 1 second. Just give me a second. Okay, where is it? Okay, 1 second. 0.
Maybe I think first we need to nested the initialization and the
One second. I'll tell you like what we were doing. Okay, this needs to be done in this way. New int 3. Okay, now what we basically do is 0, 2 equal to 1. Let's try to print this. Okay, great. Yeah. So see, this variable, one thing was like we can declare this in this manner, right? Declare and initialize the value as it is. But when you go ahead with this particular syntax, right? This particular syntax, what you can basically do is you can declare an array and then you have specified the dimension. Means when you specify something like this dimension, you mean that you can have a maximum of 4. You have like 4 arrays. You have like 4 arrays, and you want each array to be of a different length. You want each array to be of a different length. So what you basically do is you basically leave this particular the size of, you do not restrict the size of the inner arrays. So now when you want to basically create an array, so suppose the first array you want to create is of size 3. So you created one array of size 3 and you allocated some values to it and you printed this. Now what you will basically do, let's do the same for a second array. Let's create second array of size 1. So we basically go ahead and 5. So 0, not 0. This is like 1, 0. And this is 1, 0. What do you think line 80 will print? Will this print 5? We have created another array. So this is the
Yeah,
array. This is the
yeah.
array we are speaking about. So this is the array that we have created. So this has a size restriction of just 1. So we are trying to access the 0th index of that particular subarray, and we are assigning a value of 5, and we are printing this here. So basically when I go ahead, this will print me a value of 5. Got it? So this syntax is basically useful when you want to create variable number of elements in your subarrays. So you have array of arrays, means you have a number of arrays in your single array, and each array has a different size. So all the arrays has different size. So you can try to like use this as well. Let's go to the slide. Okay. So this we have already seen. This way of representing a 2D array we have already seen, and this is how it is created in the memory. So we have an array object and we have like 2 boxes. The first box refers to your first array, the second box refers to your second array, and this is like containing the element 1 2 3. This is containing elements 4 5 6, and then there is this reference. So what is this reference? This mat variable is the reference which is pointing to the array object. So now see, what do you mean by like objects and local variables. So see, anything that you create, so you have seen like how we basically create an array. So an array is basically an object. So how these are basically managed in how these are basically managed in memory is basically this arrays or objects will be stored on heaps, and the local variables, all these local variables means whatever variables have the scope to just a method. So this is the main method, right? Public static void main. So we have like int x, string s equal to abc. So the scope of these variables is only within these blocks. So if you try to like access this x outside of this main method, you will get an error. Why? Because the scope or lifetime of this particular local variable is just within these blocks. Got it? So these are basically stored on stack. So whatever local variables that we have, suppose we have the local variable as s, this will be basically stored on a stack. And whatever objects that we have, what do you mean by object here? When we say an array object, suppose new int 15, this is an array object. So this was stored on heap. Got it? So all objects and arrays will be stored on heap, and all local variables will be stored on stack. Okay, someone is saying that, can you please repeat when you allocate 2D from 1D array? TJ, can you like clarify your question? Hello? TJ, you there? When you allocate 2D from 1D array, I did not get your question. Hello? I'm not sure if you're able to, you might be on mute. Okay, let's, the last array allocation. Okay. So the last array allocation is basically, see, we had created an array where we wanted to have the inner arrays of different sizes. So we basically went ahead and created something like this. This is new int 4. So we can have a basic, so we can have like 4 arrays, 4 inner arrays, and each array can be basically of a different size. So now that we want to like allocate the size to the first array, means the size at the index 0, the whatever array is at index 0 is the first array, right? So we basically went ahead and created it of size 3. Now the array of at index 1 we basically created of size 1, and we allocated some value to this. So array at index 0 has a size of 3, has a max size of 3, and at index 2 we are assigning the value of 1. So we are going ahead and printing this. Now again, the array at index 1 has a size of 1, and we are accessing that array index 1, the array at index 1, and the first element is assigned a value of 5. So we are trying to print that. So your first array is of size 3, your second array is basically of size 1. You're getting this? Is it clear now?
Return from this, which arrays allocated for the size? You know, 73, we have a new in 4 size, and also the second.
Can you can you specify which line you are speaking, Gesa?
From here, 73 and
Okay.
74.
Yeah. See, when I created a var array, new int 4, and then I left this blank. What this blank means is that the inner arrays means, so when we create a 2D array, you understand that we have an array of arrays, right? Means your array
Yeah,
can contain multiple arrays. And
yeah,
when I leave this blank, I mean that our inner arrays can be of different sizes. Agreeing? Agreeing with that?
yes, agree.
Yeah. Okay. Now the array at index 0. So how many arrays can we have? We can have one array at index 0, we can have one array at index 1, we can have one array at index 2, and one array at index 3. Agreed until now?
Yes, 0 until up
Yes.
to 3.
Yes. So at array index 0, at whatever, now we are like specifying that our array at index 0 should be of size 3. Now we are assigning a size to the array at index 0. And similarly, here at line number 78, the array at index 1 is restricted now to a size of 1. So basically, it would be something like this. Your first array, this array, can have a max element of 3. Your second array, this one, can have a max element of 1. Why? Because we are restricting the size now. Is it clear now?
Okay, the return value is restricted by
Sorry?
so the return value restricted based on the restricted, yes.
Now we are restricting the size here. Now it's like, I'll write down the entire thing, then you will understand. Okay, I'll just restrict it to 2. So we have like we have created an array which contains 2 arrays. Clear with this?
Yeah, the first statement is I'm clear.
First statement, you're clear. Line number 74, are you clear or not?
Yeah, my question is from this.
Okay, let me give you the entire thing.
Because
0.
why we give 2 restrict? Because 3 indicates the size and as well the 2 is the size.
Okay,
The first statement 2 is the size and
wait a
also the
second.
second.
Wait a second. 0, 2. This is array 1. This is array 2. And then you're assigning a value of 2. So when I write these statements, right? So initially when I wrote this statement, what this basically means is, this basically means something like this. Something like this is created. When I'm done until this, what this basically means, that I'm doing something like this. When I'm done with this line, I'm basically telling that I have something like this in my array. Are you clear now or not? Is it clear now? Now, our inner arrays. See, this line is basically restricting the size of the array at index 0 to 3. So, and we are allocating these values at index 0 of first array contains 0, array at index 1 we are storing 1, so this is at index 1. At index 2 of the 0th index array we are basically storing 2, and similarly here this has like a size of max 2, so here we are basically storing 4 at index 0, and at index 1 we are basically storing 5. Is it clear now?
Yes, Pritam. Mhm.
Yeah. TJ, is your concern clear? You have any questions? Not sure if you got it right. Okay. Okay. So we'll go ahead with the slide. So this memory management we have seen, like local variables will be stored on stack, and whatever objects we store, we'll store it on heaps. We'll study more about this when we study about memory management in Java. So for now, whatever local variables that you have within a method, whatever variables you have, like this variable x, like this variable s, these are like your local variables. Understand that these local variables are basically stored on a stack, and whatever objects that you have, object by object I mean that whatever you create with this new keyword, new int 15, so this needs some kind of memory, right? So this memory will be basically stored on heaps. So if they ask you where, how the memory is getting managed for local variables, you will say the answer that local variables are basically stored on stack. And how, where the Java objects are basically stored, you will say that Java objects are basically stored on heaps. Okay. There's one more thing I wanted to show you. Okay. So we had seen how we basically go ahead and print the array, right? How we basically go ahead and print the array. So there is another way of like, see, I'm not going into this slide reading line by line because it will be more clearer when I show you basically the demo. So it will be like when you see more hands-on, it will be like more clearer. So there is an enhanced for loop. Enhanced for loop. So what we mean by how is it useful, this enhanced for loop is basically, let's see, I'm creating a array. I'm creating a 1D array and I'm allocating some values like numbers like 3, 4, 5. Now you have seen that you were able to like create that for loop, and then after creating that for loop, you were basically able to print all the elements, right? For int I equal to 0, I less than array dot length, I plus plus, and then system dot out dot println array of I. Everyone was able to print that, right? Means you are clear that how we basically do this. Here, this is what I'm talking about. You are clear with this, right? Now, what we can basically do is we know that each element of this array is of integer data type. Means what are these values? These are integer values, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I want to print this. So there is another syntax for int. You can write int z and so let me int value and then just specify the array name here. Just specify the array name here. And then what you basically do, just print the value. Just print the value. So see, whatever element we are accessing from this array, this is basically an integer value, right? So this is the syntax for int value. You can, this is kind of a variable. This is a variable followed by colon, and then the array reference, array reference, and each element you can just print with the help of this particular local variable now for this value. So let me print each value. You're able to see this is also printing me 1 2 3 4 5, right? Is this clear now? This is very straightforward. Actually, you don't need to like specify the array dot length and all those things. You can still go ahead and print this way as well. So this is called enhanced for loop. So this enhanced for loop will be like using more and more. Now you can like access arrays, and then we'll go in further classes where we study about collections in Java. There you will use this enhanced for loop to a great extent. So this is clear, right? The syntax is very simple. Means I just used for loop, and I don't have to specify the array dot length or I plus plus here. We just need to provide some variable name followed by colon, and then this particular array reference here, and then each time we print this value. Is it clear now? Another thing is, we had seen how we basically created 2D array, right? Let's say we have a 2D array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if you want to print this using a for loop, so what basically you can do is, see, oh, mistake. See, this is our output. How we basically printed a 2D array. So we are using again the enhanced for loop. See, this numbers in 2D array. This numbers in 2D array basically contain an array of arrays, right? It contains an array of arrays. So when I use this, when I try to first extract this, what it will basically give? It will give me a 1D array, right? So from this 2D array, first I'm getting this 1D array. First I'm getting this 1D array, right? And then what basically I'm doing? I'm trying to get this. I'm from this 1D array. reference. I'm trying to get each integer value, and then basically I'm printing this x. And for changing the line after printing one of the 1D arrays, I'm basically printing a line change statement, println. So it basically prints me like this. Alternatively, this was the initial way which you could have done for int I equal to 0, I less than. Alternate way, I less than numbers in 2D array dot length and for int j equal to 0, j less than numbers in 2D array 0 dot length j plus plus system dot out dot print numbers in 2D array I j, and then see, this also prints you the same thing, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So what we basically did here was int I equal to 0, I less than numbers in 2D array dot length. So when we say numbers in 2D array dot length, it will give me a length of 3 I plus plus. When I do 4 int j equal to 0, j less than numbers in 2D array 0 dot length. So when we say numbers in 2D array 0 dot length, when we say numbers in 2D array 0, this we basically refer to this, right? And when we say dot length, basically this will also give me a length of 3. Now what we are basically doing, we are going ahead and printing the element at ij. So we are first printing this 1, then we are printing basically this, then we are printing this, and then this condition becomes false. We are going ahead and changing the line, and then we are basically going ahead incrementing I for second line for this array. Again we are printing 4 5 6, then this condition becomes false. Again it goes, the control goes to the outer loop, I is incremented to 2, and then we are basically again printing for I equal to 2, we are printing I equal to 2, and j's value varies from 0 to 2. So we are basically printing 7 and then 8 and then 9. So this is one way of printing 2D array. This is another way of printing 2D array. This. So this, the one which I'm highlighting, this is a cleaner approach. You don't have to write this much of code. You can simply go ahead with this and print a 2D array. Is it clear? Any questions, anyone? Any questions, anyone? Or should we move ahead? I'll take that you all have understood and you don't have any questions. So I'll move forward.
I will try this by myself, and if I got questions, I will ask you next class. Please.
Sure. But you have understood the concept what I'm teaching, right?
Yes.
You might need some practice, but you have understood, right, how I'm basically explaining this.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, fine. So this was basically about arrays. We'll go ahead with our next topic, that is classes and objects. So what basically classes and objects in Java are? So objects, by objects we basically mean the real world entities. So every real world entity that we have, real world models, that we basically refer to as object. Suppose we say car. So car is basically an object, right? And each object will have some states, each object will have some attributes, and each object will have some behaviors. So a car has some weight, right? A car has some color. So these are kind of states and attributes. And what are the behaviors? So behaviors of a car is basically like car can be driven, car has gears, car has accelerator, right? So these are kind of behaviors, means the functionalities. So car is basically a real world object and it has some states, means a car has some color, it has some weight, and so on. And it has some behavior as well. By behavior, I mean that it has some um, some functionality, and those functionalities are like it has accelerator, you can like uh, raise the speed of your vehicle, and then you can apply brakes for that particular car, right? So those are kind of like behaviors. So these real world entities are basically called as objects. And what is basically a class? A class is basically a way or a blueprint or a template to create these real world objects. A class is basically a template or a way to create these real world objects. So we have already been seeing these things, right? When we created this class, this was basically a class. This is basically a class. We'll go ahead with some real world examples, how we basically see what we basically mean by classes and object. But understanding this concept is very important. This is one of the most important topics in Java, in core Java. So objects are basically your real world entities. When I say the real world entities, it's basically car, you can say a library, you can say a school. These are basically your objects or real world entities. And it has some behaviors. Those are basically like a car has some behavior, then a student has some behavior, and so on. And then there's a way to like create these objects. So that is basically called a that template is basically called a class. So we'll see classes and objects. So basically, see, this is a bank. Suppose this is a bank, and in bank has different functionalities. You can like withdraw money from a bank, you can deposit money in a bank, you can get your current balance. So these are some of the behaviors of a bank, right? And w- when I think of bank, what state or attributes that I can think of? Bank has money, right? So money is like a state or attribute of a bank. In bank you have like money, right? In bank you have currency. So those are kind of attributes or states. So those are states, and then what are the behaviors of a bank? What functionalities does a bank have? From a bank you can like withdraw money, you can deposit money, you can get your current balances. So these are basically the behaviors of a bank. So in Java, basically the behaviors are implemented in a method. The behaviors are basically implemented in a method. And whatever states and attributes that we have, whatever states or attributes that we have, those are basically represented by instance variables. We'll see how we basically, when we create a class, how we basically represent your instance variables and how we basically create a method. So see, creating a class, we have already seen these things when we created that main method. We were able to create this class, right? When we go ahead and create that new Java class, we were able to create this class. But see here, what they are basically doing, we are creating a class bank account, and then this anti ID, float current balance, string name. So these are basically the states or attributes. These are basically the states or attributes. This ID, current balance, and name. ID, current balance, and name. These are also called as instance variables. Instance variables or non-static variables. So you can name ID, current balance, and name. These are called instance variables or non-static variables. And see, in this bank account, we can basically deposit the money, we can withdraw the money. So we are using these attributes, the attributes like amount or the attributes like current balance. So these are the things we are using to basically change the state of your attribute. Suppose you add some amount in your current balance, that is deposit, right? You have some current balance. Suppose you have an initial current balance of 100 rupees. You added like 50 more rupees amount to your balance. So now what you have, current balance plus equal to amount. So this statement also means that current balance equal to current balance plus amount, right? So 100 plus 50. So now your current balance increases to 150. Now what you do, you have like void withdraw float amount. So current balance minus equal to amount. Say you have like withdrawn 20 rupees. So when you withdraw 20 rupees from 150, you're basically withdrawing 20 rupees. So what is the remaining that you have? You have 130 rupees. Got it? So this is basically a simple class which basically shows some attributes and some behaviors. So this void deposit, right? Void deposit is basically a method. This is a method. Void withdraw is also a method. What we basically mean by void? Void means that it this method does not return me anything. Void means no return type. Void is something like empty, no return type. So before this, deposit is basically the name of the method. Float amount. So this method basically takes an input parameter. An input parameter of which type? Of float data type. So this is basically the parameter which this method is taking. And what we are basically doing, we are changing the state of this attribute. So initial current balance was 0. Initial current balance was 0. Float current balance equal to 0, right? So whatever amount that we add, suppose we added 100 rupees. So current balance becomes to 100 rupees. Got it? Any confusion until now in this simple example? Do you have any questions? Sorry, guess so your voice is not very clear. Can you please speak a lot?
Okay. Yeah, from void. We use both of void deposit and void withdraw.
Okay.
So yeah, when we use plus and minus, I'm clear, but I'm confused for why we use void on deposit, because when we add, that means we can see it.
Sorry, when you when you deposit anything, when you go in the bank and deposit, your balance in the bank increases, right? And when you withdraw from your bank, your balance, whatever current balance you had, that will reduce, right? So
Yes,
that is why when we are depositing, we are doing for to your current balance, we are increasing. Means suppose you had like deposited 100 rupees. This AMT, this is the value of this AMT is suppose say 100 rupees. So your current balance now became 0 plus 100 rupees. So that is deposit. Now when you're using withdraw, you're basically
yes,
withdrawing the
I'm
amount.
I'm clear. I'm clear for the yeah. Just a moment. Just when why we use void
Yeah.
on deposit?
So every method, see this void deposit float amount, right? This is a method. So this is a signature of a method, signature or syntax of a method. I'll teach you that. So this void means no return type. Means when you call this method, right, it won't return anything to you. Means suppose you wanted to return current balance. I will show this with an example. Void for now, understand this. This void means no return type. Means this method will not return you anything, any value. Void means empty return value. And deposit is basically the name of this method. If we want to like call this method, we'll basically call with the name of this method. We'll see more when we basically create an example for this. Okay, I think Admasu is Admasu, 1 second. We'll just see a simple example and then uh we'll just see a simple example and then we'll stop here. I'll just take 5 minutes. See, so see, we have this bank and then I have created one anti-ID string name and then float current balance equal to 0.0 f. Now what I'm basically doing, void deposit, and I'm taking some amount. So when I do this, what I'm basically doing, current balance equal to current balance plus amount, and void withdraw float amount current balance is equal to current balance minus amount. And I'm creating an object of this class. And how basically I create an object? I use the class name and then I use some kind of reference. Bank new bank. So bank dot deposit. So let me provide some value. bank dot current balance, and then I withdraw some amount. Suppose I'm withdrawing 20 rupees from here. Bank dot and so we'll conclude with this example. Just follow for 2 more minutes here. So what we're basically doing, I have one ID, one string name. So I have not used this as of now, but focus on this current balance. The initial current balance was like 0.0f, means your balance, your account did not have any balance. And you created two methods, void, deposit. So this is like void means no return type. So current balance equal to current balance plus amount. So withdraw current balance equal to current balance minus amount. And then how we basically create an object. This is the syntax, creating an object. So we basically use this syntax, class name, whatever class we have, we need to specify that. You can use some reference variable equal here is equal to new. This new operator will be used. Remember, we used this new operator for creating objects. And then now we'll again use this class name followed by this parenthesis. And now that you have this reference variable, you can use this reference variable to access your instance variable. You can use your reference variable to call these methods to perform any operation. So this is one method which performs deposit operation. This is one method which performs the withdrawal operation. So let me go ahead and just run this program. See, your initial balance was 0.0f, right? So when you deposited some amount, bank.deposit 100f. So what happened? Your current balance, which was 0, incremented to 100 rupees. We are printing it here, right? So this is 100 rupees. Now again we went ahead and withdraw like 20 rupees. Bank.withdraw. So we are basically calling the withdraw method. So 20 rupees is now withdrawn. So the remaining amount is basically bank.current balance. So from 100 rupees, 20 rupees is withdrawn. So basically you are left with 80 rupees. So this is a very simple example to show that you basically are using methods. So this is basically a method. One second. Method to deposit amount. Method to withdraw amount. So this is basically a method to withdraw amount. This is basically a method to deposit amount. Anyone has any confusions or queries? Okay, we'll also go ahead and see one more thing. What is the difference between void and return? So I'm just providing int get current balance. And what I will basically do, I will just write return current balance. So one second. Okay, this is float. So see, Now this method basically returns some value. This method basically returns some value. If you call this get current balance, right? If you call this get current balance, you can basically get your current balance. So I'll go ahead and call this get current balance. Let me try to run this. So this is your current balance. So let me current balance. So this is basically your current balance. Everyone able to follow this? This method is basically returning you a float value. And these methods, withdraw and deposit, are not returning any value to you. You are basically you were basically accessing it with the help of this instance variable earlier. So these are basically ID, name, and current balance are basically, these are instance or non-static variables. Everyone is clear until now? If you don't have any questions, we can conclude this here. Hello? Okay. So I'll stop the class here. If you have any questions, you can let me know. Or we will resume the class again at the same time tomorrow. Do you have any queries?
Do amount is equal to?
Sorry?
No, it is not a question. Just when I try to type this, it shows exception.
At line,
Amount.
what exception are you getting?
For example, Tari bank dot withdrawal. Tari number 30.
Okay. Bank dot withdraw.
What is amount for my
This is
board?
20.0f, right?
No,
Since
no.
I'm
Amount is equal now.
no, no,
You
no.
said
No. This amount you don't have to type basically. So this is the suggestion. Means you just have to type 20.0f. This amount will automatically come. Means it's kind of like giving you suggestion like what exactly this is. This is amount. You don't have to type amount colon.
yeah.
Got it?
Gotcha. Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
You just have to like type the numerical value. This one. So that is the suggestion your editor shows. So this is fine, right? See, this bank is a class and this has basically this attributes like ID, name, and current balance. I did not use ID and name. We can like extend this tomorrow. But what we are basically doing, this current balance is holding an initial value of 0.0f, means it was not having any values. And these are the methods for depositing and withdrawing the amounts. So you can deposit any amount by adding your current balance and the amount to be deposited. And then you can withdraw any amount by deducting the amount from your current balance. And then there is a method to get your current balance. So return keyword basically returns you the value from this method. If you want to return any value from any method, you will use this return keyword. So I'll write it down. Return keyword returns the value from a method. So this method basically gets you a current balance, and I'm using the float data type because current balance is of type float, right? So we are expecting a float value. So I'm using the data type float. So see the signature of this method. This is data type. This is name of the method. And see the name case, what case I'm basically using. I'm using camel casing, means first word will be small and then the second word will have its first letter as capital, and then the third letter it will again have the first letter as capital. And then what I'm basically doing, I'm creating an object here, and with the help of the this is the reference. This is basically the reference. With the help of this reference, you will be basically calling all your methods, and when I say this bank dot deposit, this method is basically called, and this requires some parameter, right? It requires some float value. So that is why I've given this float value here, some amount. And after that, some amount got deposited in my current balance. So I'm printing with this reference value variable dot current balance. So that will basically print me the current balance. Similarly, I have done it for withdraw method as well, and I'm printing current balance. And then this method basically gets me the current balance. So this was a simple exercise which basically shows how we can create an object, how we can create a class, how we basically create methods, how we basically create instance variables. Are you clear until now? Okay, I'll stop this class here. We'll resume the class again tomorrow at the same time. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Pritam. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.